What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes Show, our mid-season trade deadline general manager episode. We're doing this a couple weeks before the trade deadline. There's been a little bit of activity across the league. Obviously, we talked about some of those moves in yesterday's pod, your guide to the 2023 MLB trade deadline. So if you didn't listen to that and want to just have a rundown of what every team might be doing, buying, selling, or staying pat, we went through every single team. Go check that out. Scott, today we're joined by Logan and Ilya. You teamed up with Ilya. I teamed up with Logan, as always, for the past couple of years to come up with what we would do if Brian Cashman were fired today. And Hal, some people now in the organization think it's Hank, call us up and say, hey, we need you to make some trades at the deadline. This is what we would do. That's what we're going through today.
Going for the old common sense department. Come on and make some decisions and actually make this team better, improve it. Do the things that you're supposed to do to try to win a championship. Yeah, this is fun. These are two of my most anticipated and fun episodes of the season. It's playing GM, it's a little bit of fantasy is a lot of fun. And honestly, Ilya, I think and I are pretty much undefeated at this point. So it's fun to just come in and win.
Still going to trade for trade offload Donaldson's contract to the Rockies. Still going to try to do that.
You should, yeah. Still should.
Anything before we get started? Do you want to mention about the All-Star game? Obviously, Garrett Cole started. I think on the Monday episode, we said Garrett Cole wasn't starting because there was like a weird report that he wasn't, and then he ends up starting, which makes sense.
I think someone got confused with Aaron Judge not traveling to Seattle because that's what the report came out. So. Yeah, the Garrett Cole thing. Glad he started.
There was a fun fact that it was the first Yankee to start an All-Star game since Roger Clemens, also in Seattle in 2001.
Oh, look at that nugget. Two hosses. It's pretty crazy when you look up and down an All-Star lineup and you only see one Yankee. And I know Judge is hurt, but it's just, it feels weird. It feels wrong. It feels wrong. And maybe that's why the AL lost for the first time in 12, 13 years.
Is it just me, or have the All-Star games been 2-1, 3-2, basically?
They've been low scoring. Yeah.
I guess that makes sense considering like good pitching is always going to beat good hitting. And then you've got basically aces and bullpen aces coming out every single inning, just throwing their absolute max for 10, 15 pitches. It's like, yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to hit. The shadows early in the game, there was just like a direct line right between pitcher and the batter. It's like, yeah, that's going to be impossible to hit 99 miles an hour, like up in the zone when you got sun. It goes from sun to dark. So yeah, but like the games themselves have been a little boring.
Well, I don't think they're boring. I think that it's fun. I love the players mic'd up. Like I want to see more of that. I've said this each year since they started. I want to see more of this. I thought it was a really funny and interesting, cool moment when Eovaldi was mic'd up, and then Carroll from the Diamondbacks also mic'd up. Eovaldi pitching, and then Carroll batting while mic'd up. So the broadcast was talking to both the guys. Eovaldi before that at bat had been calling out his pitches to the broadcast, and obviously stopped doing that. So it was a funny little dynamic that they were both. I don't know if they. They probably didn't anticipate that would happen, but it did, and I thought it was a fun moment. But I do like the mic'd up stuff.
I still don't know how you can concentrate throwing a pitch or hitting a ball while you've got someone in your ear or you're trying to talk. Like that seems impossible to me.
It's like it's backyard schoolyard type ball at that point. I think it's probably easier pitching than.
But you're facing Shohei Ohtani. Like,
yeah,
you're facing the best of the best.
Yeah.
Right. Or Nathan Eovaldi.
The other takeaway that I have here is what in the hell is Derek Jeter doing? Like, why is he there? He doesn't want to be there. Can we all agree on that? He's sitting there in the front row. They're throwing to him, and Burkhart and A-Rod and Ortiz all sitting there looking for commentary. A-Rod's being cheesy as normal. Ortiz is being the crazy guy. And then Jeter is just like straight face. Just like, what the fuck? Why? What am I doing? He's got nothing to contribute because that's not what he does. He doesn't do small talk. He doesn't.
That's why
it's just weird. It's not him.
It's not him. I thought it was weird. He took the Fox gig. Like,
agree. After the game, he was asking some decent questions to the guys. Like, it was more serious, more about baseball, and I could see him in that frame a lot more if he's talking like baseball. If we're talking baseball and just like asking baseball questions, I could see him doing that more. But when you're in like the booth dynamic or you're sitting there making commentary, basically, you're getting thrown back. I don't see it. Like, he doesn't play off of A-Rod. He's not going to play off of Ortiz. Ortiz is constantly doing some Red Sox Yankee thing, and Jeter's just like swatting it away. Like, that's the shtick. And A-Rod's over there going, I'm just happy he's mentioned
that's why it was
Yankee
shocking.
Conversation.
It was shocking that Jeter took it because, like, he figured he wants nothing to do with A-Rod. Like, he doesn't have to associate with A-Rod anymore. He had to associate with A-Rod when they were teammates. He doesn't have to anymore, and yet he's willingly taking a job that forces him to associate with A-Rod. Maybe he's a masochist. Maybe Derek Jeter is a masochist, and he just likes to torture himself. Logan, what did he say after the game?
I got one too.
He said that, if the Padres keep going down, he would love to see the Yankees trade for Juan Soto.
Sure.
And
so
I think
Derek.
No, I mean, and so someone tweeted, like, everybody was like, "Oh, he knows what's up," and someone tweeted, they were like, "This is so Derek Jeter because they're not going to trade for Soto, and then everybody's going to be mad at Cashman."
this is his long con against
right. This is his long con against Cashman. Everybody's going to continue to hate Cashman.
That's brilliant. So my question was like, what is Derek Jeter's ultimate goal? Is it do you think it's to get back to a front office position?
He says no. So I don't know. I think he's kind of winging it. I think Derek Jeter at this point is like, I'm going to feel some things out. I'm going to see how I like them, and then I'm going to make some decisions. He's always been calculated. He's always been calculated. So it's a matter of I think you can still test waters while being calculated. I'm going to do this for a year, maybe 2 years. If it feels good in the first year, and then I'm going to step back, have fun with the family. Do whatever I'm going to do with my family, and then reassess opportunities at that point. Like, I don't think he's looking too far ahead, but ultimately I do think he's going to get back in baseball. And ultimately I think he's going to get into baseball with the Yankees at some point.
So that is kind of a dangerous game, don't you think? Because the only way for Derek Jeter to turn fans against him is to take a prominent position and suck.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Like, he's the general manager and the team doesn't win. Guess what? There's going to be fans that hate you because of that. There's not a thing he could do now. He basically disassociated himself from the Yankees after he retired to be with his family, to take the job with the Marlins and focus on that. Yankees fans didn't care. Whenever he would just drop them a nugget of attention, they would get on their knees for Derek Jeter, and that would have been how it is until the end of time if Derek Jeter wanted it to be like that. The only way to get some fans, not all fans, because some fans, I don't know if I would ever get to a point of hating Derek Jeter after all of the joy he brought me for so many years.
Yeah, no. You will compartmentalize and forget that real fast.
This is when old takes exposed, if that Twitter account is still around. Like, yeah. Derek Jeter is the general manager in 2032, and I'm just screaming at the top of my lungs at dumb
you piece
shit
of
he's
shit.
doing.
Stick to baseball.
But that's the way to turn fans against you.
There was one moment at the end of the game that I thought was a microcosm of the Jeter A-Rod relationship, and just how bad A-Rod is at this job too, which it's wild to me how he's still doing it. A-Rod asked a question to Juan Soto, who was sitting there, and he said something along the lines of, what was it in the first half? Like, why were the inconsistencies there? What were the struggles? What can you attribute it and point it to? And Soto came out and said it was the offense. The offense wasn't consistent. We didn't do our jobs. The pitching was there. We need to get better at offense for us to do well. Cut to A-Rod for the next question, like 10 seconds later. So Juan, what do you think that you guys can do to be in a better position in the second half? And Soto goes, win some games, win a lot of games. And then A-Rod goes, no, specifically, what do you think you can do? Is it on defense, offense, or pitching? And he goes, well, offense, as I just talked about, I think we could do the offense better. And literally he asked the same exact question backwards that Derek Jeter just asked 5 seconds before that. And he goes, so you're saying, he gets that stupid look on his face where he's like, oh yeah, like
he's really intensely listening.
He crunches his face, and then he like looks into the crowd and does like someone's like looking at him or saying hi, which nobody is. He's
So
always
you're
doing
telling
that.
me-
He's one of those guys who points in the crowd when no one's looking. He's like, no one's there. There's nobody there.
It's shocking that Alex Rodriguez would be on set and not paying attention, not listening to what other people are saying. Just
He was
completely
listening.
Self-absorbed.
It was just cued. He had a cue for the question that he came up with himself and just asked it anyway.
And so
Whether he's listening or not, it doesn't matter. He's a robot.
Couldn't go on the fly and just say anything else.
Anything else.
Well, what's your favorite food on the road?
No,
Juan?
that would be way too human. Way too human.
All right. We are going to get into our GM plans. Logan and I are going to go first. And our plans are brought to you by Factor, which is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Factor offers delicious, flavor-packed options that meet many dietary needs. Calorie-conscious, keto-friendly, veggie, and vegan meals. There's something for everyone. The process is so easy. You go on their website and you pick your meal from a weekly selection of over 30 different options. Factor prepares and cooks the meals to perfection with their gourmet chefs, and then the food is delivered directly to you. All you have to do is heat it up. It takes only a few minutes and you are eating amazing, delicious, and healthy food. There's a ton of snack options and add-ons as well. Apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon, and cheddar egg bites. Those both sound delicious. And if you're really going for the health-conscious options, they have cold-pressed juices and shakes as well. We have not received our Factor meals yet. They're going to be coming next week. But honestly, we had to order out last night because there's just zero time to cook dinner after picking up Harrison from daycare, trying to feed Lucy a bottle and all that stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to having good, healthy food that is just ready in a couple of minutes. With Factor, you're also making a sustainable choice because they offset 100% of their delivery emissions and source 100% renewable electricity for production. Head to factormeals.com/Bronx50 and use code Bronx50 to get 50% off. That's half off your order, which is an awesome deal. Once again, factormeals.com/Bronx50. Make sure you pluralize the meals. It's factormeals.com/Bronx50. Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? The first, so to start with, where I think, where Logan and I think that,
give me a State of the Union. Give me a little commentary here.
Outfield is a problem. Obviously,
thanks, Alex.
Judge being injured, and the fact that with each passing day, I have less confidence that he's ever going to be back. We knew we needed to add an outfielder, probably 2 outfielders at the very least for insurance. So that was like our first plan of attack is outfield. Upgrade the third base position. Josh Donaldson, 10 home runs, whip-de-doo, 14 hits on the season. Yes, he can pick it at third base, but there's plenty of other guys that can pick it at third base and give you something offensively as well. And it just kind of strikes me like Josh Donaldson, it's just sort of representing like the wrong with this team. And I just kind of want him out of there. I don't want to look at his face anymore. And we just want him gone. And then some other options that, maybe you'd thinking of pitching depth. They are going to be getting some guys back, but I still think adding some pitching depth, whether it's bullpen or starting rotation, is something we wanted to look at. So the first move that we're making is we're making another trade with the St. Louis Cardinals. Back-to-back years trading with the Cardinals. The Cardinals, who we talked yesterday, could be maybe in between. They're way back. They're in last place. They've got so many impending free agents. They're going to have to make some moves at the deadline. We're trading for Lars Nootbaar and Jack Flaherty. Nootbaar, 25-year-old outfielder. St. Louis has depth in the outfield. That's why they traded Bader last year, and that's why they, I think, would be willing to trade Nootbaar for the right package this year. Going to the Cardinals it's going to be a lot. It's Jason Dominguez, it's Clark Schmidt, and it's Will Warren. Jason Dominguez, we're comfortable giving up because you're getting Nootbaar, who's a 25-year-old young outfielder who can contribute now, next year, and years forward. Could Jason Dominguez turn into a better player than Nootbaar 2 years from now? Yes, I'm fully willing to admit that. But Jason Dominguez is not going to help you win a championship this year. He's probably not. It's not guaranteed he can even help you win a championship next year. And you've got to maximize your window with Garrett Cole, with Giancarlo Stanton, and hopefully with Aaron Judge back healthy this year and Aaron Judge healthy next year right now. What this trade also does is it gives you insurance when and if Bader walks in the offseason. Bader no longer has leverage over you if you have Nootbaar, because he is controlled for a long time. And the original package we were thinking about for this actually included Peraza over Dominguez, but the more I thought about it, the number one prospect in the Cardinals system is Mason Wynn. He's a shortstop, but he's the number 44 overall prospect in MLB on MLB Pipeline. So they've got a shortstop who's expected to contribute to them next year. So I don't know that they would do this for Peraza. Like, if we could get it done for Peraza, I would much rather do that, but I think it would take Dominguez. Clark Schmidt actually has quite a bit of value on MLB Trade Value's website. He's got a 26 value. Dominguez has a 29 value, and Will Warren has like a 5.5 value. It pretty much comes out to about an even trade. Nootbaar's value is off the charts at 61. Flaherty, he's a rental for the rest of the year. Clark Schmidt has been very good for the Yankees as a back end of the rotation guy. The Cardinals have Flaherty and Monty both set to leave after this year, so they need a controllable middle to back of the rotation arm, and Schmidt could be that guy. And let's all be honest, they'll probably turn Clark Schmidt into a stud, because that just seems to be what they can do. So they'll get their paws on him, and all of a sudden Clark Schmidt will be pitching to a low 3 ERA. Nootbaar's also left-handed bat. As I said, Bader insurance, but even most importantly for this year, outfield depth with Judge uncertainty. And then with Flaherty, you're hoping he can turn his season around. He has not been pitching great. You're hoping he has a good second half entering free agency. Probably let him walk in the offseason, or you can entertain bringing him back. But he's a kind of a net neutral with Clark Schmidt as far as contributing to the rotation. But there's a world in which Luis Severino continues to struggle. Nestor Cortez comes back. You could move Severino to the bullpen. That's always an option. And Flaherty and Nestor Cortez could round out the rotation. I think a lot would have to happen for Clark Schmidt to ever get a playoff start. I think if they trade for someone like Flaherty and he pitches well in the second half, he could get a playoff start. He could get a Game 4 start in the playoffs for you. So that is our first big move.
Okay.
Anything you want to add there, Logan?
Not really. I think you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, just Flaherty gives them a lot of options. Obviously, Herman's around. He has relief before he could go to the bullpen as well. Probably will at some point. And Nootbaar is a fan favorite. I mean, did you see him in the WBC? He was pretty electric. People loved him. So I think it would be a good fit. Obviously, the lefty back controlled, good defender. I keep pining for them to get like a left fielder, not just like a right fielder that they put in left field, because it's different at Yankee Stadium. So he's a good defender. He could do it. And I think it'd be a good fit.
All right. Next up, well, we got to address third base. First off, I'm DFAing Josh Donaldson. I'm not even going to entertain trying to get someone to take that contract, because it's probably not going to happen.
At this point, it doesn't matter.
He's owed $10.5 million for the rest of the year, plus that $6 million buyout. So call it 16, 17 million bucks that you have to eat for Josh Donaldson. We're going to the Nationals for Heimer Candelario, who is a free agent after this season. He was a 1-year deal for the Nationals. I think it was $5 million. So you owe him like $2.5 million for the rest of the year. He's been very good. 261, 337, 478 slash line with really, really strong defensive metrics. I think his OPS is about 120, 125. He's an instant upgrade over Josh Donaldson with the bat, and he provides similar to maybe even better defense for you. We are trading away. This is not going to take a lot. So, with these kind of trades, trading away Hampton from the minors, he's a pitcher. It's like pick a mid-level pitching prospect to trade, and that's who you're going to trade. So with these kinds of trades, you're just looking for somebody that has okay value to on MLB trade values, and for the Nationals, it's like they don't really have a lot of leverage with Candelario since he's walking in the offseason. But that instantly upgrades your third base position. Next up, we're going to the Cubs for Cody Bellinger. Need 2 outfielders, because I seriously am worried about Judge. And even if Judge comes back, which is best case scenario, having Bellinger and Nootbaar on the team, I'm okay with that. We are going to be trading Sean Boyle, who's a 26-year-old in AAA. He could contribute to the Cubs pretty much instantly. Bellinger's contract is interesting. So we got conflicting information, which I'm sure you guys did as well. So there's a report that it's a $12.5 million option, mutual option with a $5 million buyout for next year. And then
is this a honey boiler pot?
Yeah, I don't know. And then Fangraphs has, and some other sources say it's a $25 million option for 2024. The only thing I can think of here is that it's a $12.5 million option if Bellinger picks it up and then the team doesn't buy him out. And then if the team picks it up, it's a $25 million option, because you would think Bellinger is going to walk in the offseason because he's having a good year and he's going to want to hit free agency. So the team that would want to keep him is going to have to overpay for 1 year to get him. And that's where the $25 million comes in. So that's what I think is probably the terms of the contract. But I'm still okay with that, because you bring him in for the rest of this year. It's Judge insurance. It's a left-handed power bat that you stick in the middle of the lineup. It's also Rizzo insurance. If Rizzo's been not good, maybe he's a little banged up, maybe he needs some time on the IL, you can have some insurance there. He can play multiple outfield positions and first base, and obviously DH. And you're trading away a pitching prospect that can contribute at the major league level fairly soon. It's not going to take a lot to get him because of his contract, his rental status. It's not going to take a lot to get him. So I think that's the next thing we're going to be doing. And that's really all of the moves. We're not getting a bullpen arm because I do think that you can move one of the starters to the bullpen if you need to. So total impact to the payroll, it's about $11.5 million increase on the payroll for the rest of this year, which pushes the tax threshold to over 300 million. They're over anyway, so more money to make the team significantly better, in our opinion. And then when you look at the lineup, we already talked about this, but you could have a Bellinger, Bader sort of lefty-righty platoon situation if Judge is back. And if Judge is not back, then you slot in Bellinger and Nootbaar and Bader in the outfield with Stanton at DH. And that's really, really solid for the rest of the year into the playoffs. Those are our plans. We will do your plans, and then we will react to each other's. But before we get to your plans, Game Time is the easiest way to grab tickets to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater, or whatever else you want to go to. The All-Star break is going to be over soon, so that means more baseball games on the docket for you to go to, or maybe you want to grab a comedy show or whatever. The app has so many cool features, and it's super easy to use. It shows you trending tickets, deals with flash deals in different sections, cheap options, expensive options, sort of whatever you want to go for to have the best venue experience you possibly can. There's also event cancellation protection, so you can buy with confidence. You get images of your seat before you buy, which is super cool. The buying process is fast. It's just 2 taps and you're done. And the tickets go directly to your phone, so you don't have to dig through junk email to find them. Snag tickets today without stress using Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the app, create an account, use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Thank you, Game Time, for sponsoring Scott and Ilya's most likely terrible GM plans.
All right. Okay, that was a good effort, boys. Good job. I will say this: there are some similarities in the plans. I think philosophy-wise, we're very much on the same page with what we believe this team needs. I think that we approach the personnel a little different in looking for. We're definitely, understanding tendencies, because, we try to do this as if we are doing it, but also realistic with what Cashman has potentially done. There's always
a weird dynamic to think of. Yeah.
But we tend to look at the tendencies of how deals have been structured in the past, the types of guys that he's looked at in the past as well, and try to fit some kind of a mold to the personnel. And one of the biggest problems with this team right now is the makeup of the team. The offense is not producing. They're redundant at this point, which what we thought might not be the case. They are proving out to be redundant, and not able to get on base, not able to obviously score runs. And as I've harped on in the past, like I know a lot of fans are looking at this team and why they've not succeeded. And we've had this back and forth argument about which one is which, but why they have not succeeded in the postseason. And you can point to one thing. And I continue to point to the offense. The pitching has not been a problem come postseason. And it's funny because we were just talking about the All-Star game. And if you look at the All-Star game and the way that it was played, you said the exact thing. Good pitching always beats good hitting. But what wins at the end of the day? Timely hitting wins, right? Because if you have to pick your spots and you have to take advantage of the opportunities because there are not very many of them. So the teams that consistently can do that more often are the ones that are going to have that success. And you see that time and time in the postseason, even in low scoring stuff. Like there are clutch moments in a game that are taken advantage of. And usually that's because the team is built that way and has those types of guys. So that in mind, one of the we agree outfield is a problem. We don't know when Judge is coming back. That's a problem. The uncertainty is a problem. If he doesn't come back, that's a massive problem. If he does come back, great. You kind of deal with it then. But what this franchise has not done in the past is really make sure that they have that plan to a contingency plan and the backup, and make sure that you are ready for the if what's, when someone doesn't come back in the time frame that you have, or whatever they believe. Okay, so we made three moves. Let me get to my moves here. Ilya and I talked about this. We went through a bunch of different players, looking at the guys. We looked at St. Louis. I'm not as big of a Nootbaar guy as you guys are. I don't think he fits offensively this team as well. So we were looking for someone that can really make a different dynamic. And this is a guy that isn't talked about very much at all. And in fact, I didn't know a ton about him until I started doing research. But we're going out west to the San Francisco Giants, and we are going to be making a trade for Lamont Wade Jr. He right now is playing first base for them, but also, if you look at his career, he's got like 65. He's got like 65 at first, and then he's got 40 some in left, 40 some in right. He's a versatile defender, but he's an elite offensive player right now. He's an elite guy with strikeouts. He's elite on base percentage, elite plate discipline, and he is the type of player that this lineup absolutely needs. He needs to come in with a new infusion of the approach and how they're going to turn the lineup over. I believe he's playing first base and hitting leadoff for the Giants right now as well. Ilya, chime in if any of these things are incorrect. But this guy is, if you look at his Baseball Reference page and you look at the plate discipline stats, and you start going in the walk percentage, the strikeout percentage, the on base percentage, the OPS, like the guy's elite right now. He's having a tremendous season, a little bit of a late bloomer. He's 29 years old, but he does have control. He's got 2.5 years of control, can slot out there into left field. And he's a guy that I believe for context for everybody listening, we use the same website to get value for different players. So Ilya, if you want to go into the trade, I'll let you kick in and say anything you had on him.
Yeah, real quick on the numbers too. So he's got an 842 OPS on the year, 132 OPS plus. So that's an upgrade to this roster. He ranks 5th in all major league players in OBP this year with 404, and he ranks 4th in MLB in walk percentage. So his value is really low. He's only at a 0.7. So we're giving up a couple minor league arms. AA Matt Sauer, he's our 20th ranked prospect in the organization. And then single A Tristan Vreeling, I think. Yep. Single A number 15 prospect. And this isn't like, our main outfield move. This basically with IKF blossoming into the super utility guy he has, it's making Oswaldo Cabrera expendable, and he's not playing. So this is like a role player, give guys day off, but he's having a really great year, and to have a guy with that production fill that role rather than Oswaldo, who's been, an automatic out. We just really thought it gives the team a real good depth piece there.
And to be clear, like I want him in the lineup every day. So I do think he could take that left field spot and own it. But to your point with giving Rizzo a breather, he can play first base. He could play the other side of the outfield. He's not a center fielder. He's played a couple games at center, but he's not a center fielder. They have the opportunity to do that.
Any concerns with his defense? I was just looking up. He's not great, not a great defender. And if you're going to be relying on him to play
can we talk about this afterwards and let me get through my my GM plan here, please, Mr. Rotundi?
But you were just sort of talking about him playing every day, so I figured I'd ask the question.
Yeah, no, I am not concerned. The guy he reminds me of the IKF makeup in the sense that he's a gamer and he plays well everywhere he is. No, he's not an elite defender by any means, but I don't think.
No, he's actually a bad defender. He's actually bad. Really bad.
They don't need what it is, but what they do need is a lot more stability and a lot more consistency in the offense. And he's right now one of the best. You can't possibly put a better profile bat. Get rid of the name, look at the profile and what he's doing on the offensive side. Like that's exactly what this team needs very badly. They can catch the ball. Okay, so the next move that we're doing there is we are going after some pitching, and as the Yankees have in the past, they've doubled down on the pitching side. They don't address the offensive as much. That I don't know if that's because they don't believe it's as fixable in season as the pitching side is. But doubling down on the pitching side, I think another starting pitcher does make sense. We will be sending Luis Severino to the bullpen. So yeah, we have a bullpen ad. His name is Luis Severino. John Sterling and Susan Waldman are very excited about this trade. I texted them before we announced this. They're extremely excited.
You're counting Severino to the bullpen as a trade?
No, but ever since you said it, I'm going to. We could count the guys that are coming back. But John and Susan are very excited about this move. This is something they bring up literally every time he touches a baseball, and how puzzling the move was to bring him to the starting rotation. So we're going fishing. We're going to Miami, going to the Marlins, and we are making a trade for Jesus Luzardo, and we're giving up a pretty good haul for him. Luzardo also is a controlled player. He has 3.5 years of control. He's an ARB1 guy. He's having a really good year. The Marlins are going to be trading on the pitching side, and they need young prospects. They need specifically young middle infielders. So this is where we're going, and we're getting Luzardo for 3.5 years. And we are making the trade for Peraza. We're giving up Peraza in this trade. We're also giving up Pereira, and we're giving up Austin Wells, the best hitting coach in the organization. But you got to give up significant talent to get significant talent, especially on the pitching side that's controlled. Ilya.
Yeah, he's having a really great year. 131 ERA plus. He's 9th in MLB amongst starting pitchers with K per 9. Tied for 11th amongst starters in FIP, and his home run per 9 rate is under 1. He's a young guy. The Marlins have the young starting pitching. They need the offense. Peraza can slide in right away. Pereira just got promoted to AAA. He's mashing. And then Wells is, AA, not far behind. And they're all positions that they need help in. It's a little bit of an actually all of our deals are a little bit of an overpay just to seal the deal. Luzardo's valued at 50.4 and this package is 56.6. He with the control too, with you don't know what's happening with Severino. Clark and Herman are not staples to be in this rotation moving forward. They still kind of need to continue to prove it. And this really just really solidifies that rotation. Nestor's coming back, but we don't know exactly what he's going to look like. He hasn't been the Nestor we know this year, so it's another way to double down on that.
Yeah, and this is again, like we're with all the moves that we're doing, we're looking into the future. or for the most part, for looking into the future to see how can we affect this team right now in a very positive way and give them an opportunity to win. But also, what can we do to make sure that, you know, into the future, it's putting the team in a better position, makeup wise, control wise, position wise. And I think this absolutely nails it. We got to give up Peraza. I think the longer he dwindles in AAA, the value just continues to go away. So I think this is an opportunity to get a really good young pitcher who I believe is on the rise. And will be around for a good bit. Okay, so and it's a significant haul. It's a significant haul. There's no doubt about it. The last move that we are doing is we are also, this is where we're similar. We're going to get Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger, I don't have to
like that's happening. That's happening, right? Like that's definitely
it feels like happen. It feels like it. So Cody Bellinger is interesting. I wanted nothing to do with. There's a lot of people who were like, Cody Bellinger was a free agent going in. Cody Bellinger had one of the worst seasons you could possibly put on paper in 22. 21 and 22 were terrible. You know, he has been injured. He had some lower body injuries. I was watching an interview that MLB Network had with the Dodgers GM. It's one of those those things where like the coaching staff is working with a guy that they just didn't believe that they could get over the hump with him. You know, philosophically, they probably didn't believe in that rebound, you know, with his body as well. So it just wasn't going to work. He is rebounding. When I saw when the Cubs came into town, that's the first time I had really looked at him with a magnifying glass. And when I saw where his strikeout percentage was, I was like highly impressed because he's a big strikeout guy, has been for a while. Last 2 years, like I don't want that in the lineup. He's certainly improved upon that. What does that mean? I think he's healthy. I think that we're seeing a guy that's healthy, that is definitely, you know, having the talent take over. And don't forget his first 3 years, he came out of the gate unbelievable. He was rookie of the year, MVP. Like this guy has the talent to do everything. If he's a healthy guy, you throw him in, it's a rental. It's a pure rental to get a spark. And that's where I think it's great for him personally. He's playing for a contract. Yankees need the depth in the outfield. So yes, he could play left field on a day-to-day basis. Wade could come in there and play the different positions, keep that bat in there. And yes, it's insurance for Aaron Judge if Aaron Judge doesn't come back. And if he does come back, guess what? We're also getting rid of Donaldson at some point. But what we were looking at is we did not replace third base because Donaldson's value right now for the Yankees is defensively. We're replacing the offense with Wade and Bellinger. We'll figure that out as far as DH, floating guys around, because defensively we have third base covered with personnel that's on the team. If Wade's here, DJ doesn't need to go to first base anymore. DJ can play third base a lot more. IKF can play third base more because we have more outfield depth. That means two very good gloves. You're not losing anything on the third base side defensively. And to me, with Donaldson, that's the only thing you're replacing at that point. And with Bellinger and Wade, we're increasing the offense. So that's why we didn't go after a third baseman specifically. We believe that we can cover that with the team and then give up the bigger prospect to get a more controlled, dynamic pitcher to help this team today and into the future. So that's our plan. The biggest thing, like Lamont was a big move for us, even though it's not a big move on paper. It's a big move because I think that it's probably the biggest need. Not only you're filling and getting rid of a guy with Donaldson at some point, because I do think they're going to DFA him. Unless he has a miraculous fountain of youth, come back on the offensive side, there's no reason for him to be on this team because, like I said, we have the defense to cover it. There's really no reason there. And Wade gives us that consistency that I think can help turn this lineup over a lot more. He's also got there's an article about there. If you want, definitely check it out. I'll throw it in on Twitter or something about his offensive approach. He's gotten a new offensive approach recently, and Gabe Kapler raves about this guy and the way that he approaches, and it's a new dynamic thing. So he can bring another perspective to the team along with our new hitting coach.
Remind me who you're giving up for Wade again. It's low-level prospects, right?
It's Matt Sauer and Tristan Vreeling.
So I don't doubt that value makes sense. It's just Wade has been the Giants' second most productive player as far as WAR goes. And the Giants are not out of a playoff race.
The Giants are not making the playoffs.
Why do
in a month? I mean, that's what we have to look into the future too, and look to see what this is. A lot of this is speculation on who we believe are going to be sellers.
Fine,
I don't believe
the Giants,
I don't believe they are.
The
and
Giants,
if we have to give up a little bit more, then
yeah,
fine.
Give them our.
No, but I
just
think the Giants, if the Giants
7
were to
9.
do that and sell high on this guy, like they're going to want a player that can help them next year.
I mean, fine. We could give up. They're not going to get a top prospect from him.
No, I know you're not going to get a top prospect, but it's just like you're trading away. You're basically making that trade for the Giants, saying, "Well, this is our second best player, and we're giving him away for for 2 prospects that might help us 5 years from now."
Well, I don't think they're 5 years from now, but again,
3 years from now.
When we throw out these deals, we're adding players to get to a value. If there's something that's a little bit higher, the main point is like Ilya and I have no problem overpaying a little bit for a guy like this. So if the Giants need another player that's a little bit closer to being ready, then like literally no problem. Because of the control and how he's such a perfect fit for this team, we would be willing to make a deal.
Yeah, I have no problem overpaying at this point either. That's why I'm like, yeah, include Jason Dominguez, because
I don't think you don't need to you're not putting Dominguez in that deal. Like there's no reason that's my point. We didn't have to.
No. I'm saying for like our Nootbaar trade. It's like, yeah, Yankees fans might immediately see trading Jason Dominguez and they might scoff at that. But it's like, we have to understand what Jason Dominguez is. He is a top prospect in the Yankee system. He's ranked like 40 overall in Major League Baseball. Like, we're not talking about the unequivocal number 1 prospect in baseball, cannot miss no matter what.
Sure.
So like, if you're trading him for someone like Nootbaar that can help you this year and help you for the next 3 years, guaranteed, locked up under team control, or I think it's 2 years after this, that's a no-brainer in my opinion, because you're trying to win a World Series in these next 2 years. And if Jason Dominguez blossoms,
I think we accomplished that with getting better on the offensive side and not giving up anything close to Dominguez, and then using top prospects to get a controlled pitcher. So I think we accomplished that without giving up Dominguez, and I like Wade better than Nootbaar anyway. I don't really love Nootbaar as a player personally. That's the and the other thing. If we're talking about trades, the trades now, one thing I don't understand on your side, Jack Flaherty has been one of the most inconsistent pitchers. He's been injured. You are screaming about not having any injury guys. He is an injury guy. Like
the Flaherty move is kind of just like it's a little bit of a lottery ticket, but
yeah, but you're also giving up one of our more consistent pitchers right now who has.
I don't believe in Clark Schmidt. So I'm selling high on Clark Schmidt.
So we have but he's a guy that's controlled also and has been,
which is why he has value. And Nootbaar's value is significantly higher than Dominguez and Clark Schmidt. So the only way you can get him is to trade both of those players. Like, I just don't see Clark Schmidt ever being anything more than a number 5 pitcher. And I don't really care about having a controlled number 5 pitcher.
No, but anyway, you're talking about right now, and right now, if you take Clark Schmidt off this team and put Flaherty on this team, I don't think the team is that much better. And in fact,
right.
I said that. But what you're hoping,
so we're looking at the pitching side. You could argue
is starting pitching the problem with this team?
No. But as you go into the season, you need that starting pitching depth. We all know that. You know that, and you know that going into the postseason, like you're assuming Jack Flaherty is going to be that guy. He just hasn't been that. He's never really been that guy.
I said best case scenario, Flaherty has a good second half and he could make a playoff start for you. But the reality is Nestor Cortes is coming back and Domingo Germán has been pretty good. So those are your 5 pitchers. And then Flaherty, if he can take a step forward, could slot into one of those spots. And you have the flexibility with Severino and Germán and even Nestor Cortes, frankly.
Who's the number 3 pitcher going into the playoffs then?
It's whoever's pitching the best.
Okay, so that's where we differ. That's where we differ. Like we wanted to make sure that we had that guy and that he was controlled. Like Luzardo is that guy. So you have a top 3 of Cole, Rodon, and Luzardo, and to me that's extremely good.
That's very good. I don't think that's necessary for the Yankees in the playoffs. If you have Cole and Rodon, and then a number 3 and number 4, whoever's pitching the best. If it's Severino and Nestor Cortes, awesome. If it's Jack Flaherty and Luis Severino, awesome. If it's whoever it is, great. You've got a strong bullpen, and hopefully your offense with all the moves that we made actually can score some runs.
Yeah, that's the big up.
And you're winning a playoff series, because the fact of the matter is, unless this offense turns it around, they could add all the pitching in the world. What? So you're going to lose games 2-1 in the playoffs instead of losing games 4-3? Great.
Yeah. What's Nootbaar's on base percentage?
So Nootbaar's on
asking,
base is
I don't know.
358. I was just going to mention real quick. So Bader and Jake Bowers have a higher OPS than Lars Nootbaar this year.
Well, we kind of went on we wanted a controlled piece. He's 25.
He's 25, and this he is not arbitration eligible until 2025. So you've got 2 more years, this year, next year, and then he hits arbitration.
He will get better, but I have a question, and I like Wade.
It's difficult to say he will get better. I don't know how much we can say that.
I think that he will become a better player than
he had a 124 OPS plus last season.
Yeah, but I like Wade and I like Luzardo. I'm just not understanding, because both of those teams are good. They're both in a playoff spot. I mean, the Giants won 108 games a year, not last year, the year before that. And Wade has control. Luzardo has control. The Marlins are in the first wild card spot. They finally are gonna look like turn a corner.
They're not.
So the Marlins have a surplus of that young pitching,
and they
need offense. They need it. I've seen some reports that they're willing to make a swap like that.
Who's playing shortstop?
So, Joey Wendell's playing shortstop for them right now. They're happy to let that one go away.
Is Peraza? Do we know that Peraza? I don't know. Like, this is not an attack on your guys' plan. Like, this is a conversation. What do we think Peraza's actual value around the league is at this point?
Well, I think if you package him with other big guys, which we did, like Wells and Pereira, I think that helps. I don't think he can like headline a deal and be the guy, but I think him with another 1 or 2 top guys, I think that's a really enticing deal for people. You can't not take it. I mean, he came up to the majors.
Yeah, played well.
And he showed it. He played well.
Yeah, I know.
He's lighting it up in AAA.
You can't do much more for a guy and at the age he is. And the Yankees have to trade him soon.
That's a thing. It's like
they have to trade him.
He's
like if we're waiting
value.
until another offseason, then we're looking at obviously if Volpe continues to go, like it's what's the value for them? They need to make a move for getting him off the roster, and that's why Dominguez didn't enter into this, because we entertained that too. But I think that they have more time to let him develop. Whereas Peraza, they need to go. They need to make a move with him now.
Yeah, with each passing trade deadline and offseason, and Peraza is still kind of in this spot of he's not going to get the starting shortstop job maybe. Do you think they're hanging on to him to have Gleyber walk and have him at second base? Is that like? Do you think they see that as higher value than trade?
I don't know. We weren't even looking at that. We're looking at Gleyber. If you look at Gleyber's numbers,
no one's taken that buffoon.
I mean, that's fine. Like take away the baseball IQ shit. Look at his numbers and only his numbers. His numbers are not easy to replace by a guy like Peraza's not going to replace those numbers. Going out in the free agent market, you're not going to replace those numbers. The Yankees actually can't part with those numbers right now. They can't. He's probably been their most consistent, productive offensive player throughout the entire year. That is not that far off of a true statement. So you can't just remove him from this team right now because of what he's doing offensively.
You're correct. He's got a 105 OPS plus. So he's been a tad above league average offensively, and we're talking about it like, how could you possibly replace his bat?
No, it's more replacing it with what you think you could replace it with. And
I'm
on the free agent market, it doesn't make sense because you're right. Like, what team wants him for a player that's ready to play now? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So you'd have to give up prospects with him as well. And then what are you getting in return? Or are you putting Peraza at second base? Are you putting DJ at second base? Well, then you have a third base problem again. And there's just a lot of things that are going on with that. But Peraza coming up is not going to replace those numbers. That would be a very tall ask for him to replace those numbers as a rookie coming in.
You would have to upgrade at third base, like Candelario or somebody, and then get rid of Gleyber. And then you can say, okay, well, we're upgrading at third base so we can deal with DJ and Peraza at second base, which might not be as good offensively as Gleyber.
You're just not going to get shit for Gleyber at this point. So I think there is more value for him on this team.
I agree. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that was the reason before. And back to Wade, like you're not wrong. Like the Giants are right now on July 12th, still in the hunt. You look at, we have to see what happens.
Sure, they play
3
games below 500
that division,
the next 2 weeks,
that division
and they're
is
done.
very difficult. Yeah.
Yep.
They don't have the firepower to do anything in the playoffs. Like
What if they want to acquire at the deadline though?
Yeah, okay, fine. Like that's speculation. If they want to acquire at the deadline, they could do that. But I don't believe that that's going to happen. So
the one thing we agree on is Bellinger, though. Like, we agree, like, Bellinger seems like such an easy move to make now. Like, get him on the Yankees for the Colorado series. What is stopping them from doing that?
The fit is there. They need a guy that can play defense, that has flexibility and left-handed bat.
Left-handed bat. Like,
again, and like the makeup of him, that's why I did not want to trade for Cody Bellinger in the beginning of this, but when you look at his numbers, he has improved this year. He has shaken off whatever the bullshit was for the last 2 years for the most part this year, and he does look closer to the guy in the first year. I'm not saying he's that guy; he's not that guy, but he looks closer to that guy than he does the guy from the last 2 years. And if you're looking for a spark, lightning in a bottle. Give me talent. Give me talent for lightning in a bottle and motivated talent for a guy that needs a contract and is a pure rental. Like, I love pure rentals with talent. Pure rentals with talent that are playing for a contract in Yankee Stadium, like, is a good thing. He's got some ties to the Yankees with his dad. Like, there's some things there.
Yeah, let Sean Casey get his hands on Clay Bellinger in the second half of the season.
Cody. I don't want him to touch his dad.
That was the joke, since he called Hal Hank.
Okay.
He doesn't know anyone's name.
The Cubs are going to wait on that move because everyone that wants to
Probably.
add a bat is going to be looking to add Cody Bellinger.
So I do think you're going to have to give up more.
Overpay by 30% now. Seriously.
Sure.
The longer you wait as the Yankees, you're not currently in a playoff spot. The longer you wait, the further behind you could fall. So get him there now, even if it means giving up an extra player that you wouldn't have to give up. Because also there is a world in which the Cubs play hot over the next 2 weeks and then don't trade Cody Bellinger.
Absolutely. There's also a world that Cody Bellinger goes for an 0 for 25 and his value is completely gone.
Yeah. Even if they play well, he's opting out. He's not picking up that option.
Yeah, he's still an expiring contract.
They want to get something for that.
Yeah, I guess. So we agree Bellinger makes a lot of sense, and I guess we both agree you have to get another outfielder. For us, it's basically a starting outfielder, and for you, you could slot him in as a starting outfielder, but he could also play multiple positions, give you some versatility. I think we're both saying this just because the Judge thing is very, very scary, and best case scenario, Judge is back at some point in September, it seems. So what are you going to do for the next month and a half? Like, you need actual outfielders. You don't need this rotation of Billy McKinney and Franchi Cordero I almost said Orlando, Oswaldo Cabrera in the outfield. Like, that's not getting it done. Okay. You have to upgrade the outfield. And then third base, I do see as a problem, if anything, because I don't know. I can't help but think Josh Donaldson's bad for this clubhouse.
He's an asshole. He's always been an asshole. I mean, at one point we were talking ourselves into the fact that he's our asshole now, but he's not. He's still an asshole who can't hit. And you know, I put this out there, like, he does look like he's going to flip off the crowd at some point. He's pulling Jack McDowell who flipped off the crowd. He's going to do it. He's going to flip off the crowd at some point. And I'm excited for it. Actually, he's going to get destroyed. But yeah, so. And I do think, though, that you don't have to offensively replace him with a third baseman, given who we have defensively to plug that spot. That's the only difference.
Candelario just makes a lot of sense because he's expiring contract as well, and so he's a pure rental at third base for you that you don't have to give up much.
Yeah, we looked at him too. He was close to being in our.
Yeah, who else did you look at? Let's finish this up. So a couple other names that we were looking at were Lane Thomas from the Nationals as well. Yep. Maybe we entertained briefly doing a Kyle Hendricks and Cody Bellinger package from the Cubs. Teoscar Hernandez from Seattle. We, of course,
which I could see happening. Also, I could definitely see Teoscar Hernandez happening. But again, like, similar, Seattle's not out of it yet too, so it depends what happens. But I could definitely see that happening. Like, he's a lightning in the bottle guy too.
For 10 seconds, we were like, let's figure out a package for Ohtani, and then our brains broke. Yeah. Ryan McMahon from Colorado, who's a controlled third baseman, making a decent amount of money. just figured a third base rental made more sense, and then we ultimately landed on Nootbaar from St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other guys that we looked at too, I had put in at one point, I was just scanning OBP, I was looking at OBP a lot, like who's leading an OBP that's potentially gettable. That's where I even found, if I'm being completely honest, I knew nothing about Lamont Jordan. Lamont Jordan was a running back for the Jets. Lamont Wade Jr. That's what's screwing me up was the name. Lamont Jordan, like back in the day, was a bruising running back for, I believe, the Raiders and the Jets. Anyway, the Lamont Wade Jr. is a guy that just kept popping up on all the lists I was looking at. I'm like, Jesus, man, this guy. And he's a gamer. He's just like, he's one of those guys that would walk in the door and we'd all love in a second.
Until he just completely botches the ball in left field.
Yeah, but the offensive consistency, the way that he puts the
great.
The way that he gets on base
is the Gleyber Torres of left field.
It's elite. No. He's an elite offensive player when you're looking at the splits.
He's also not downgrading this outfield defense. It's not like
he's not exactly. He's not downgrading. You act like we have Gold Glove in left field right now. We don't.
He'll go 2 for 3, and he'll turn a single into a triple that cost the Yankees a game in the 8th inning.
Awesome. The other thing about that too is like, oh, by the way, there's a guy named Giancarlo Stanton that can play the outfield, that can go out there as well, and just
Giancarlo Stanton just needs to start hitting. Like Stanton, just start hitting.
Maybe they should play him in the outfield every day, and maybe he'll start hitting. Mickey Morniak was another guy that I was that intrigued me for a second. He's former first round #1 overall pick with the Phillies. Hasn't really panned out. He's in Anaheim right now and is playing for Trout, essentially center field. But he's had a really good stretch here since Trout's been out. And it's another guy that's a rental, basically a guy that has a ton of talent. Motivated, seemingly like maybe he's a late bloomer and found it. But I was soured on him when I saw his strikeout percentage.
Last thing before we wrap it up, now taking ourselves out of the GM job and talking about what the Yankees and Cashman will actually do. If they don't make significant moves, like all of our moves are pretty significant, like adding big pieces to the roster. If they more or less just add like maybe one outfielder or a role player or something like that, like that's really, really bad. Like, what is that saying about what they think of this team if they don't really significantly shake it up? They're basically just saying, well, we don't believe in this team anyway. And
I don't even know what to think about what their intentions are anymore, because in the past we've said that, and they're trading for guys that are hurt as well. So it's like they make the moves where like on paper, yeah, that's a good move. And then you look closer at it, I'm like, wait, that guy's still hurt. Wait, it's like they're not making the right moves in that case. So I'm not going to sit here and spin my wheels about how they believe the talent on this team can do, because I don't think they fucking know. Honestly, you look at a guy like,
then you have to change the talent. You have to change a lot of the talent.
And that's why when I was doing this, I was fixated on need within the makeup of a player. I was fixated on that specifically. And that's what led me to wait. I wasn't seeking that guy out. He just I found him by looking at what we need. And when I see him, I'm like, God damn. I mean, fuck, if you have to overpay him, you look at Nootbaar and Wade side by side, or any other.
Those are difficult players to look at side by side because
they're not because they're both controlled. They're both controlled. They're both controlled.
One of them's 25 years old. The other is going to be 30 years old.
That means nothing to me because one of them's hitting his stride later. So you're still 29. You can still be in the peak physical ability of your career. I think Nootbaar has one more year of control. That's what at the end of the day.
No, I just told you he's not arbitration eligible until 2025.
I think it's 2 years of control.
And then he's in arbitration.
I just don't love the player. Honestly, I just don't love the player.
Okay, that's a different story. Team control wise, he's 2 more years of team control and then arbitration, which is just team control.
Yes,
pay him a little bit
2
more.
years total. More.
Yeah, 2 years
Control
total.
there.
So
and it's Bader Insurance, which we know.
I don't want him as Bader Insurance. I want them to go out and get a real outfielder then, if that's the case. Like a better center fielder.
What are you talking about? He is a real outfielder.
Like a significant center fielder. My personal opinions are going into this because I don't love the player. That's different. Like we can all have opinions on the players, and I just don't think he's a good fit for this team. I think he's more of the same.
Nootbaar is not a free agent until after 2027.
which
for
is
control.
when Stanton is off the team.
Yeah. And I think Wade
All
has
right.
what, 2.5 years?
That
said?
is going to wrap it up for our general manager trade deadline episode. Hope you guys enjoyed both episodes of the trade deadline this week. We're going to be doing our next episode after the Colorado series, after the opening weekend of the second half. Anything else you want to touch on, Scott, before we wrap up?
Not really. I think the
Good words.
But I'm going to do what I normally do. I'm going to say no and then say something. I just hope the team comes out with a fire. That's it. Like they need to really look at the importance of striking now and not dicking around and waiting. And I agree with you. Yankees brass need to make a move now. Why are we waiting? Why do we have to wait
the
to
move
the trade
the
deadline?
move is hiring Sean Casey. Don't you love how they fired the hitting coach and then hired a new hitting coach, but there's going to be 5 days off before the team gets back at it? So it's like any potential excitement and motivation is kind of just going to be like is going to have worn off by Friday night.
Well, for the fans, I mean, at least
No,
maybe
for the fans.
he's got some
For the
some
players.
time to get in there.
You think he's watching film right now? You think he's watching videos,
Yes.
changing up stances, making?
I think he's
adjustments?
taking these 5 days to probably call the guys, talk with them, and do all the things that you couldn't do on
Figure
if you're
out their
playing every
names.
day. Figure out their names.
Find an apartment in New York.
Yeah, visit them in the Dominican if any of them went down there for a few days. He's doing all the things that Boone would do.
Him and Boone are going to be just yucking it up in the dugout.
Yeah, shit. I mean, if that helps the dynamic, then cool.
All right, we'll talk to you guys on Monday.